Kyle Gibson gets lit up again. Lance Lynn struggles again. And it's at the point of spring training that I'm starting to get a little fidgety. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan. And I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter X at JD Sports Radio. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter X at LO_Cardinals. I do want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Available on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe and comment. That way you're interacting with us. Don't forget to hit the notification button so you know when the new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode being brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Pitching. How many times did we hear that this offseason? That was the focus, right? This offseason, go out and gather as much pitching as possible. The Cardinals did do that. They did. Not only in the rotation, but also in their bullpen. Bunch of new arms, right? But so far this spring, 2 of the 3 new starters that they've signed haven't really looked all that good. And the other one is hurt. Sonny Gray continues to recover from his hamstring strain. He's progressing well. We're not worried about him right now. If all goes well, he'll be back sooner rather than later. But your other 2 starters, Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn, have not had any injury issues that I'm aware of. Yet their results on the field have not exactly quieted the crowds that didn't like the signings to begin with, and felt that the Cardinals as an organization settled for cheap replacement parts instead of going out and getting one of the better starters that were available. Low-hanging fruit. We know that term very well. It's not like there were a lot of superstar pitchers to choose from. Aaron Nola always wanted to be in Philly. He wasn't going to leave. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, way out of the Cardinals' price range. They were never going to be able to afford what he ended up commanding, and it seems like he wanted to be a Dodger the whole time too. But the fan base's dream, my dream, along with everybody, was to form a 1-2 punch with Sonny Gray. I wanted Sonny Gray. I love Sonny Gray. I think he's perfect for the Cardinals, but we wanted a 1-2 punch. We needed him and somebody else, like a Blake Snell, who is now with San Francisco, like a Jordan Montgomery. Bring him back to St. Louis. He was very, very good in St. Louis. He's still unsigned. And instead, the Cardinals identified 2 guys that are known to throw a lot of innings, but they also give up a lot of hits. Gave up a lot of hits last year. We already had one of those guys in Miles Michaelis. And so far this spring, both Gibson and Lynn have given up their fair share of hits. So much that some of us, me, are starting to get a little nervous about things. And I've been a guy that has preached patience. I've been that guy. And I'm still preaching it. But at some point, you want to see these guys turning the corner and starting to make some progress. Lock in a little bit, right? And that was not the case today. I was hoping we were going to see both of them come out pitching very, very well, that this was going to be the day where we get to see the real Kyle Gibson. And even though Lance Lynn had a really good start its last time, I thought we were going to see more of that. That is not what we got. The Cardinals had split squad games today. The first one was at home against the Marlins. Second one was on the road against the Mets. Kyle Gibson got the start against Miami. And granted, it was a very windy day in Jupiter. John Rooney and Ricky Horton continuously talked about how the wind was affecting things on the broadcast. There was no video today. It was all audio. They were consistently talking about how wind was blowing in from left field. So any right-handed hitters who got one up in the wind wasn't going anywhere. But for the left-handed hitters to hit one out into right field, kind of easy because the wind was blowing out to the right. Final score today was 11-10, with the Cardinals coming out on top, which is great. But clearly things were tough on pitchers today at Roger Dean Stadium. But most of the damage done by the Marlins was against Kyle Gibson. His final line today, 74 pitches, 5 innings, 8 runs, 5 of those earned. The Cards did have 2 costly errors, which, granted, put Kyle Gibson behind the 8 ball. You know, they put him in situations where he wasn't supposed to be there. They didn't have his back today, which when you have a guy who gives up a lot of contact, your defense has to be good. It just has to be. Victor Scott made an outstanding play in the outfield today. But then you've got some errors going on there. You just can't have that behind these types of pitchers. Gives up 9 hits, 2 home runs, both of them to Jazz Chisholm Jr., both of them described as wind-aided home runs, by the way, where he just got him up there and the wind just blew him over the wall in right field. 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. His ERA this spring is now at 10.80. Not quite what I was hoping for today. I wanted to see a better Kyle Gibson, and I didn't get that. And I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to pitchers early on. We've said it before. I'll say it again. Spring training, sometimes they're working on specific pitches, specific locations. They're tinkering with their delivery a little bit. The number one goal isn't necessarily getting a guy out with pitches or things that you normally would be doing out there on the mound. They're trying to work on some other things, and some of those things don't work out quite as well, and they get hit harder. When you're facing live hitters, that's just kind of the way it is. But this is the 3rd start of the spring for Gibson. Time is ticking, and to get knocked around for a 3rd consecutive game doesn't exactly instill confidence for a guy who is 36 years old, gave up an AL leading 198 hits last year. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not trying to freak anybody out, but it makes me fidgety. Like I said in the intro a little bit, I'm starting to get a little fidgety here. According to John Denton at MLB.com, Gibson is not too concerned about his less than stellar stats so far this spring, and neither is Cardinals manager Ali Marmol. The way Marmol sees it, the 36-year-old Gibson is a veteran pitcher who the skipper trusts to be an asset in the Redbirds rotation this season. So there's no reason to see the right-handers inflated Grapefruit League numbers as a red flag with opening day only 9 days away. Again, this is John Denton words. After the game, Gibson said, physically, I felt good. I just didn't execute as well as I'd like to on some pitches. I was able to get ahead of most guys except for the walk and to Jazz, which he most definitely wasn't pitching well against in today's game. As far as the stats go, Gibson said, the numbers are what they are. It's more about execution and how you go about it. There are certain things I've got to clean up and get better at. It's execution. It's something I can control a lot of the time, but I just didn't do that today. Trying to build up pitches, working on some things. That's just delivery stuff that I'm working on, but that's what spring training is all about. Figure out adjustments you need to make. I've had good bullpens. For the most part, I feel physically pretty close to where I want to be. So you hear him describe these things and talk about them, and you would think that all of this is to be expected, that he's supposed to be going out there and getting his brains beat in. And he's a veteran, and like I said yesterday, he knows what it takes to get himself ready for the upcoming season. This is not Kyle Gibson's first rodeo or anything like that. He knows what he needs to do, and if he's not going to be sweating about these things, maybe we should trust him. You know, it's not like we've had him in the Cardinals organization for a few years and he's lied to us in the past, so we should be weary of what he's saying. We don't know. We've never had him before. But I guess we should trust him. I'll be that guy. I'll trust him. His next start is scheduled for Sunday in the final spring game in Jupiter before the Cardinals break camp and head west in preparation for their opener against the Dodgers. Gibson said he would like to get through 6 innings, reach a higher pitch count in his final tune-up of before the regular season. I want to know what your thoughts are on his struggles? Should we be worried? Should I be freaking out? Or should I just take a step back and just chill a little bit? I don't know. I feel like we're getting awfully close to when things are going to start meaning something, and I haven't seen much progression. So that's where I'm at. But let me know what you guys think. Get in those comments and hit me up on Twitter X. Let me know what your thoughts are. We're going to talk about Lance Lynn's grueling start. That's the best way to describe it for me. It's just, it was grueling to watch him out there today against the Mets. We'll do it next on Locked On Cardinals. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with NBA, NHL, and college basketball entries right now on PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of having to battle thousands of other players and fantasy points and trying to outdo them, people get lucky a lot on that stuff. They just happen to pick the one person that goes off that had never done it before. Instead of doing that, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you just watch your winnings roll in. That's how it works. The tournament is all set, which means the biggest moments in college basketball are getting closer. Be a part of the action on PrizePicks for both the men's and the women's college basketball tournaments. Insurance is a necessity in real life. PrizePicks also gives you peace of mind by offering you the injury insurance when it comes to this. That way your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For basketball games, say you've got a player who ends up exiting the game in the first half and doesn't return in the second, that player projection will not count against you, and the rest of your entry will stay live. So they hook you up there. Very simple to play. Make your picks, submit your entries. You can do that all in less than 60 seconds. And when you win, you get paid real quick. It's nice. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types. That's what makes PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. So download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Perfect time to try PrizePicks because of all of the college basketball games that you got going on. Again, men's and women's. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. As you know, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today. Baseball fans, mark your calendars for March 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern. Best MLB season preview coming exclusively to Locked On Sports Today on March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Be the first to get local insight from the MLB, local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Find it on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. And thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube and on Twitter X anytime you want. Your feedback always welcome and encouraged. Love the interaction between each other, like me and you, as well as the interaction that you have with other Locked On Cardinals listeners. It's great. Lance Lynn had a disgusting 2023. We know this. He got clobbered for 44 home runs in the regular season, 189 hits, which was 5th most in the league. But the hope was that he will take what happened to him last year, learn from it, find some inner strength, and get back to that 2021 form and be able to do it in a familiar place, St. Louis, where he started, at a more pitcher-friendly ballpark called Busch Stadium. His first time on the mound this spring, it was an eventful one, that's for sure. Got tossed for arguing balls and strikes with Angel Hernandez. Then he got banished from his bullpen session after that. Before all that happened, it wasn't great anyway on the mound. He had thrown 2 innings, allowed 3 runs, 4 hits, walked 3, although he had some issues with the strike zone, which might have led to those 3 walks. Strikes out just 1. Second outing, so much better. So much better against the Mets. 4 innings, no runs, 1 hit, 4 punchies, no walks. Beautiful, beautiful. Looked great. But then tonight was a struggle. Tonight was a struggle in a couple of different ways. Lynn threw a ton of pitches early on in this game. First inning, goes through the first 2 guys, no big deal. Then has a 9-pitch at bat against Pete Alonso, which ends in a single. Next guy, 11-pitch battle against Jeff McNeil, which ends in a walk. 20 pitches to 2 hitters. Then another 6 to Starling Marte before the inning was finally over. 32 pitches in the opening frame. Then in the second inning, he strikes out Francisco Alvarez before giving up the solo shot to Brett Beatty. Then it's a strikeout, single, back-to-back walks. And just like that, Lance Lynn is up to 59 pitches in an inning and 2/3. Like, it just went whoosh, escalated quickly. Lance Lynn's a big dude. He looked a little bit gassed out there. Now, he didn't look like exhausted, like he was dying, but he looked a little bit gassed. Ollie came out and got him because you could do that in spring training. So he comes out, gets him at this point. Lynn goes back out there to start the third inning, gets a strikeout and a ground out before getting pulled again at 71 pitches, where I assumed that was like the limit that he was going to, and that was going to be his pitch count, and he was done for the night. But lo and behold, fourth inning started. There he was again, Lance Lynn on the mound. And he issues another walk, but no damage is done. And then that was finally the end of Lance Lynn's night. Final line, 84 pitches over 3 1/3 inning, which isn't great. 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 home run, 4 walks, and 4 strikeouts. It was exhausting to watch. It was exhausting to watch. My wife's on the couch watching with me, and she's like, "Who is that? Looks like a dude from the local pub down the street." And I had to chuckle a little bit, you know? Lance does kind of look like that. She said, what was it? She said, she looks like a dude that would shop at Walmart in his slippers. It's like, okay. But it was exhausting to watch him out there. The first 2 innings of Lynn's outing, like, just, they went on forever. And there was plenty of people chirping online about innings eaters as he struggled through those 2 innings. But I think my biggest issue about this game for Lance Lynn was just the walks. You know, that's 7 of them now in 9 1/3 innings. Got to get that fixed. Can't be doing that. But it was good to see, even though it was tough for him, it was good to see Lance battling against the Mets starters. It's not like he was struggling against guys who were going to be at AA or AAA in, a week and a half. Like, these were the Mets' top dudes: Francisco Lindor, Starling Marte, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil, guys that are going to be a big part of the Mets offense this year. They worked him hard. But it's good for him. That's what this is about. That's what spring training is about. They weren't really hitting him all that hard. They just gave him some really tough at-bats, and that's pitching at the major league level. Like, it's not easy. So the pitch count, yeah, not ideal, but it wasn't quite the disaster as it sounds. Just tough, man. Just some tough at-bats there. So we're going to talk about the other aspects of both of these games: offense, bullpen. Another big hit for one outfielder who appears to be turning the corner, which is a good thing at the plate this spring. So we'll get into all of that next here on Locked On Cardinals. Fire TV is your destination for sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV, whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournaments. You're going to want to have a Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels, which is wonderful because they give you a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us here at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all of the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all of the latest in the world of sports: March Madness, NBA, MLB, NFL, draft stuff's going to be coming up here real soon. So lots to get into, not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos, all of it available to you. So check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you really should. Learn more by visiting www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's www.amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. And say goodbye to those busted brackets, because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tournament, every single one of them, whether you're betting on the big upsets or you're going to ride with the number 1 seed. I was asking the wife today. I was like, all right, you don't know a lot about college basketball. It's just not her thing. She watches a couple of teams and stuff that she's involved with, but overall, not her forte. And I was like, you got to pick somebody. She's like, everybody keeps telling me UConn. Maybe you ought to go with UConn. It's time to go dancing on America's #1 sports book. Roll with UConn if that's what you feel is what's going to happen. I mean, how many times does the #1 seed actually win it? I don't know. I don't have those stats in front of me, so I'm more likely to go with like a number 3 or even a number 2, probably a number 3, something like that before I took a #1. But that's the fun of March Madness, right? We don't know what's going to happen. But right now, I can tell you what will happen. New customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines, and you can even pick who's going to win the whole dang thing. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's right, FanDuel.com/lockedon. Bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On plus our national shows, which cover every league. You can find Locked On Sports Today available now on the free Fire TV channels app. Dylan Carlson, a guy that I consistently tell you I'm rooting for. I really am. I really want him to be good. When Cardinals have prospects that are expected to do very, very well, I get excited. And a lot of times we've been let down, haven't we? You know, the tragic ending to Oscar Taveras, #1 hitter in all of baseball in the minors, top hitting prospect, and we lose him. He dies. Alex Reyes, top right-handed pitching prospect in all of baseball. Can't stay healthy. Has one season where he's an all-star in the bullpen. And that's it. That's all we got out of him. Sucks, right? Jordan Walker seems to be on the path to do something really, really good. Dylan Carlson was on that path as well. And things did not work out. He's had trouble not only hitting right-handed pitching, but staying on the field. He's also dealt with injuries. And he's got another opportunity this year to take advantage of an injury situation with Tommy Edman and Lars Nootbaar. Had a rough start to the spring. And we're all saying, here we go again, man. We just cannot seem to get Dylan Carlson going. I talked about his body language, how he just looked defeated and frustrated and just not like he's having much fun out there on a baseball field, which, you know how it is in any job. You're not having a good time, it's pretty miserable. But recently, Dylan Carlson, for whatever reason, is starting to come to life at the plate. And I love it because he could be huge for the Cardinals this year. I don't know if Tommy Edman's going to make it back this year. I don't know. If you can keep Dylan Carlson healthy and you start to see the guy that was up for Rookie of the Year awards a couple of years ago, and that guy shows up, huge for this Cardinals team. Game against the Marlins today. Comes up in a big situation. A lot of times when we see DC up with a chance to make a dent, strikes out, something silly happens, and he doesn't do anything. Well, not today. Came up in a huge situation. Bases juice, 2 out, down by 3, rips his a double clearing of the bases. Like, it was awesome. Ties the game up. Carlson, batting average up to 250 now. Remember when he first started, like, he was way down there. It was ugly. Up to 250 now. He's got 2 home runs. He's got 9 RBIs. He's got confidence. And that, I think, is one of the things that Dylan Carlson is missing a lot of the time. He's got confidence again. Maybe he feels healthier. Maybe he trusts that ankle. And he's feeling good about himself. And I say, hallelujah. Keep it coming, DC. Wilson Contreras, who always looks confident. Single and a double in the second inning today when the Cardinals played at 7. He drives in 3 with that 2-out double. Gorman and Arenado also had 2-out RBIs. Didn't see a whole lot of that last year, if memory serves. And it's nice to see him getting it done. In the bullpen, Andrew Kittredge finally looked mortal. I'm not going to bash on him. He allowed 2 runs on 3 hits in an inning of work, but the combination of JoJo Romero, Riley O'Brien, and Kyle Leahy, they closed the door. Cardinals win that one 11-10. Great comeback considering they were up huge at 7-2, and then the Marlins came storming back hitting everything Kyle Gibson put up there, hitting everything Andrew Kittredge put up there. And you're just like, what is going on here? But that's why they play 9 innings. So it was nice to see them come back and do that. In the game against the Mets tonight, runs were at a premium for both sides. Redbirds fall 3-1. Offensively, the Cardinals only mustered 5 hits. Cesar Prieto drove in the lone run, hit an opposite field base hit after a leadoff triple by catcher Ivan Herrera, who's chugging around the bases. I was like cheering him on because the game was on TV. So I was like, go 3, you got time. And there he was, Ivan Herrera. You don't get a lot of triples out of catchers. So it was kind of cool seeing Ivan Herrera do that. Mason Wen goes down on strikes 3 times in the leadoff position. His batting average down to 217 this spring. Hasn't looked great so far this spring. I hope he can get out of this funk soon. Jordan Walker, he walks twice. He whiffs twice. Alec Burleson was 1 for 3 and is hitting .351 now, while also making a nice running grab in left field. Was in foul territory and came chugging in and made the catch. He's looked really good in the outfield so far this spring. I've been pleasantly surprised. The rest of the Cardinals pitching staff, solid. John King, Ryan Fernandez, Wilking Rodriguez. They all throw shutout innings. Lone run came against Nick Robertson on a 2-out RBI double by Francisco Alvarez. You know, I mean, you're not going to torch the guy for giving up a 2-out RBI double. It happens. But you got to be impressed with what the Cardinals bullpen has been doing so far this spring. And I know part of it, when I think about it and I say it out loud, it's like, well, later in games, are they facing the top hitters anymore? Or is it guys that aren't going to be on a major league roster? So I don't know. Something to think about. But I don't want to ruin the moment. Bullpen's been pretty good so far this spring. Cardinals face Washington again tomorrow. It's a night game, 5:05 St. Louis time start. Steven Matz is scheduled to get that start. He's another starter who could really use a good outing to kind of get things moving in the right direction for the starting rotation. You know what else starts on Wednesday? The Seoul Series begins between the Dodgers and the Padres. Technically, it is opening day for Major League Baseball. These games are considered regular season games, and they will count for their regular season records. The downside of it being in South Korea is that it starts very early in the morning, 5 a.m. St. Louis time. It will be streaming on MLB.TV and on ESPN. Your pitching matchup, a guy that we were hoping would end up in a Cardinals uniform, didn't happen. Tyler Glasnow will be on the bump for the Dodgers against Yu Darvish for the Padres. Shohei Ohtani slotted to bat second for the Dodgers in their batting order. How about this top of the lineup for LA? Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, and then catcher Will Smith hitting cleanup. Not bad. Teoscar Hernandez is in there. Jason Hayward's in there, which is shocking, but plays good defense in right field still. But fantasy-wise, I bought into all of the Will Smith I could. I grabbed as much Will Smith stock as I possibly could in fantasy this year. So I'm looking forward to it. Set your alarms if you're going to get up and watch it. It's an early one. Again, 5 a.m. St. Louis time start. 6 a.m. on the East Coast. So that's going to wrap it up because I need to go to bed so I can get up for these games. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. You are the best fans in baseball for a reason. I will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.